I want to introduce you to the law offices of Vincent W. Davis at 888-888-6582. They're advocates for the rights of parents, grandparents, and guardians in juvenile dependency courts. Losing a child to a DCFS CPS social worker based on an anonymous call, complaint, or your ex-spouse is not only horrific, but it's commonplace. Everyone will agree that there's nothing more valuable than one's child. You cannot afford to fight this alone. Call the law offices of Vincent W. Davis at 888-888-6582. Connect with an attorney today. That's 888-888-6582. Get your kids back.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is Fight CPS with Sabrina, and I'm your host for this evening. Today we have, is it Leilani?
You can call me Kiki or you can call me Leilani, whatever you want to.
Sure, because those two names. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Kiki. They call me Kiki. My name is Kiki Leilani, but everybody calls me Kiki. I'm a mom that's going through this just like everybody else. Well, everybody else is going through this. I don't know what you want to know about me, but
how many kids and how long have you been going through this? When did it start?
Okay, well, I have 5 kids total, but I have 3 adult children that were not affected by this. Okay. Well, they're affected by it, but they're not in the system. I have a 25-year-old, I have a 22-year-old, and a 20-year-old, a 12-year-old, and he's going to be 4 in like 3-4 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and, I actually have been on this show before when this case started. And, my case, obviously, it's kind of like it's terrible and it's unbelievable to be in this position, because I know I really had higher hopes that I wouldn't be still struggling. It's been almost 3 years that this case has been going. Yeah, it's been happening, And I mean, initially the case started with my son's behavior. My son was acting out. I like I said, I have 3 adult children. So my 4th child, he was like my only child, And he went from being not only child, but he was the baby, you know what I mean? And he had most of my attention. And then when I had another baby, he didn't have that much attention anymore. And I know that played a large role in his behavior, but also because I was in another relationship, and then he had to split his time between, the man that was in my life, and a new baby. And, I'm before I gave birth to my youngest, I did have an open DCFS case with my son. And, I know already that if you do exactly what they tell you to do, typically, idealistically, you get your children back, because I have gotten him back, So
you'd hope.
So this time around, it really has just been like, I don't know, like not real, I guess you could see, kind of like a nightmare in a sense. Like it's like I was saying, I'm not trying to jump around, but it's kind of, I'm a little nervous, so I'm kind of trying to stay in focus, but just to go step by step, basically, like I said, his behavior he was acting really just bad, and he was just acting up. And they opened up a case and they tried to take him, but they couldn't take him. They couldn't take him because there was no reason to take him. So they had I volunteered somehow for a DCFS case, and but they were not able to detain. So I had my children for a year in this whole they were at home though, and I finished everything that they asked me to do, and then I was also in a dysfunctional relationship with my youngest son's father, and I expressed this to the social worker. I was very open about everything that was going on, and she never offered me any services. She never even really ever like reported any of the things that I was telling her about what's going on. I mean, I left him 3 times, and each time he found me, I mean, I told her there was things going on where I needed help, and she didn't offer me any assistance. So, moving forward, I guess I'm kind of like trying to tell you everything, but I'm leaving out like where it came from. But me and my son, we were homeless for a while, like 3 years on and off. And so we were struggling with homelessness. So my son has been through a whole lot, the one that was acting up. And I'm not giving him any like, oh, not my son. My son's not my son is a normal little boy. He's a normal little boy that was just going through a lot of emotions that I don't think he was able to really identify with or to even deal with,
Yeah.
And I had him in the fullest level of like FSP. We had a family therapist. He had an individual therapist. I mean, I had done I'm very proactive in his life, and so basically when I finally obtain like permanent housing in like a safe environment, I get into an argument with my son's father, because the youngest one, and because I told him, I said, you know what, it's not working. You know what I mean? And I don't. It's the hardest thing to be in a relationship where you humble you shut you literally bite your tongue almost every day and just have to like walk on eggshells because you don't want to argue or fight with this. I don't want to argue and fight with this man and put my kids in the middle of it, And it was just like it was just it's horrible. It's a horrible. It's no way to live. It's no way to live like in this little. You're like in a bubble. You know what I mean? And you're not really real. And
Right.
so when I finally was able to get away from him, we got into this big old argument, and he hits me in the face. He socks me in the face.
Oh.
And because of my, my DCFS case that I thought should have been closed, because it was like already a year had been going on, and they never removed him, and I had finished everything. I mean, I know it sounds unbelievably crazy, but in the very beginning of the case, the social worker, I have reason to believe that the social worker knows my ex's family, and but that is, I don't have, I have strong reasons to believe that they know her somehow.
Your gut's right,
And it's just when he hit me in the face, they took a month, and then all of a sudden I was the last person to find out about them removing him from me. And they came and removed him, and they discussed everything with him and his family as far as where the children were going to go. I was the last one to find out. I found out about 45 minutes before they came to take him.
How did they find out? How did the social worker?
Because I'm also involved with this other organization called American Family. Well, I don't know if I could say that. There's another institution facility that I was affiliated with, like a resource basically, and it's like another social worker. They just don't work for DCFS. And okay. she was actively in my life. She would come and check on me and just help, just resources, And she came over and seen my eye like this, and like, I'm black, and she's like, "What happened?" I'm not gonna lie to her. I actually built really strong like rapport with a lot of these people that entered my life, that have helped me. And she was like, "Oh, you have to say something about this. You have to report this. You have to do something." And I was like, just afraid, because I'm like, man, this case is going to close. I didn't really know how to. She's like, "You have to." She's like, "If you don't, I have to." And I was like, all right. So I did. I did what I was advised to do. In doing so, it ended up, what's it called? It bit me in the butt, because then it opened up a whole other case, a whole DB case. And it was just like, when I went to court, and this was when COVID had just started. So they took my baby at the time. He was 1.5. And his family is very abusive, physically and just verbally. And I was just so irate when they told me that they were going to be giving my baby to his family, and basically they were be giving my baby to him because he's there, and he's the one that hit me in the face.
Yeah, they like that. They like to give the kids to the abuser.
They never drug tested him. They drug tested me. I came out negative. I didn't test positive for anything, but they still took him. They said, for whatever reason, they never gave me any alternatives to detaining. Like, there's all these steps that the social worker did not follow, before she removed him. And so initially, when your kids are taken from you, number one, the first thing you're going to do, obviously, is you're like, because you feel wronged. You know what I mean? You feel like you feel right inside. So I was obviously like fighting this, Now I know already it does you no good to fight these people. You cannot fight them. And the bottom line is, regardless of what is true, what's an allegation, they have our children. And it's like, we're totally at their mercy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Whatever. And they on this paper, when you read the allegations against you and how they make you look, and they make you look like you're like the scum of the earth. Like there's no way that you should be raising your children, Yeah. And it sucks, because these people know you for maybe 10, 20 minutes. You know what I mean? They enter your life. They make a quick assessment or a judgment based on whatever they're basing it on, and basically just allegations for just it's all hearsay, and it's just, that's just like been like probably the most hardest thing to deal with, is that when people ask you how are your kids, or what's going on, and when you have to tell them what's going on, and then the automatic like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll be very, I'm gonna be very, I'm gonna, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to own my actions and be an adult today. Bottom line is, for whatever reason, I did allow them in my life, and I will own that. So being that as it may, though, it's like, I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's only normal, to feel like, these people are in my life and I'm not doing anything wrong. So I'm just going to be honest and talk my way out of this because I'm not doing anything. But really, they're going off of an allegation or something that they have no proof of. So when they come to your house and they're trying to like inspect your house, they're looking for anything that they can say you're a bad mom with. Oh, you have 3 pairs of socks by the laundry machine. You have dishes on your table or in your kitchen. Your kid has a dirty diaper because they just showed up randomly, and they will turn that into the complete opposite. You have a dirty home and the kid's not clean and it smells horrible. So really, they don't have anything.
Yeah.
They just try to use that. So by being honest and letting them in is actually the worst thing you can do, because they will turn it into something that it's not.
And it's and the thing, as a parent, when you're not doing anything wrong, when you feel inside you're not doing, I mean, maybe in the eyes of somebody else for whatever reason they may think that, but I know inside I was doing what I felt was right. I know I'm a good mom. I know I am, and I know, like I said, I have 5. So these my younger 2 ones I'm 43. You know what I mean? Like, I've had I'm not, there's no perfect parent, but I know that my patience level and my awareness and my parenting and my, I'm much more aware of what it is, the importance of their, well-being come before mine, like more than I ever have been. You know what I mean? And, it's just been really, I don't even know how to say it. Like, it just sucks when, everything that you say sounds ludicrous. It sounds crazy, look, I did everything they were asking me to do. I did everything. And, this is what it boiled down to. It boiled down to parenting and COVID. And there was 2 parenting classes. I just had to do 2 more classes, and I was going to be done with everything that they had asked me to do. Mm-hmm. I was on my unmonitored visits already, and no, I'm sorry, wait, didn't have an unmonitored visit at this point. But when I didn't have the 2 classes done, I guess the father produced paperwork that he had finished. I don't know how he finished, because we started together at the same time. And I have a letter. I have all these letters of everything backing up all of everything that I say, from, it's just character references. Everything that I can sit here and tell you today, I have paper proof of it, and somebody else to back me up, and somebody reputable, a doctor or a therapist or something. Like, I know what they want of me. I know what I have to do. And so it's not like I walked into this in denial. It's not like I walked in this like trying to point the blame on everybody else and not trying to take a look at myself. You know what I mean? Like, I acknowledged what it was, but I left the man. When you're in a domestic violence situation, when you stay with the individual, your partner, I can understand that to an extent, why the children should be removed. But when we were going through it, and I'm telling her we're going through it, she didn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, when I make that leap where I finally am able to, be self-reliant, where I have my own place, I'm not living with him. I have a job, I have when I have all these things and we're not together, I tell them that's when they're going to step in and take my kids from me. Not to mention my son, who's already got some issues going on with his behavior because he's obviously going through something. They're going to remove him from his mom. All that he's known, I've been the only stability. He doesn't have his father in his life or any family, and I don't have any family either. So all we really had was, I just had me and my kids. It's just been us. And it's not fair for me to put all this strain on my adult children. I'm not going to put any pressure on them, to raise. It's just been such a lonely like battle, where everybody is kind of looking at you like you're crazy, like you're lying. Like, there's no way that that's not the way it's supposed to go. Well, all you have to do is call your lawyer. Well, all you have to do is just like, no, that's not all. No, that's not at all. Look, my baby was the first time I seen my baby, because of COVID, I didn't see him for 2 months after they took him from me. I didn't have any visit for 2 months, and I finally see him. And the first time I see him, he has a bruise on each cheekbone. And I told them, I told the supervisor, I told everybody. You don't know how many people. I called every liaison in every DCFS office, in every I called every day for like months, like just crying out to whoever would hear me, like, please, like, help. This cannot be happening. My baby, every time I see him, he's showing signs of something's not right. As a mom,
So
we
messed
we we could tell by their cries when they're hungry. We could tell by their cries when they're tired. We could tell by their cries when they want to be hugged. Like, we don't even need them to speak to us for us to know what's going on. There's you know what I mean? There's that connection that you can't take away. You know what I mean? And so to see my little one just like mommy, like, please don't let them. It's the most terriblest thing to have to go through. It's just horrible. I mean, and to know he was only 1.5. I don't know anybody in their right mind that would say, what, let's take this baby from their mom. I mean, the first 5 are the most detrimental years of a child's life, and for them to snatch him up from me and to put him in these hands of people who are abusive, and it's obvious. You could see the signs of the abuse. He's got bruises on. Okay, when they have a bruise on their forehead or maybe their mouth, I know babies fall, not on their cheekbones. Not a bruise on each cheekbone, okay? There's just specific things that I know. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a social worker. I'm a mom. You know what I mean? And it's like, what, are you serious? You don't see this? You don't see him doing these things? Like, and it's just like, it was just hell. Like, they removed him.
The workers do see it and they hear you. But if they admit that their foster parent that they placed the child with is doing some kind of harm, then they know that they're going to be in some serious trouble. So
they stuck him with the man that hit me.
Back them up.
The man that hit me, that's who they put him with. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
He wasn't even in foster care. He was with the individual who smacked me in the face. You know?
I grew up with my mom beating the crap out of me. I was emancipated as a teenager. I have a huge file of paperwork that says like the sexual abuse and just completely beating the shit out of me. And when I went to court for my CPS case, which I didn't have her taken away, I asked the police to have my mom take her because I didn't want the cops and my daughter there. And so when my mom realized that, she can make all this money, CPS gave her permanent, foster parent for whatever, knowing that she beat the crap out of me my entire life, that she made me do really horrible things that are like on record. And I'm asking the workers, like, how are you going to place my daughter with her? Don't you see all the records? Oh no, what records? They're gone now all of a sudden. And wouldn't look at the paperwork that I have. I don't understand how it's okay to take the kid and put him with the abuser. Like, how
like with my when they gave custody of my baby to his father, he had came to my house. I had 3 police reports. Okay, initially, all that I was told that I had to do by my lawyer, my attorney, was stay away from him for 3 months. That's what he said. He said, all you gotta do is stay away from him for 3 months. That's it. Stay away from him. He's like, I don't want to see any texts. I don't want to see any social media where you guys are taking pictures together. He's like, stay away from him. And I'm like, look, I am. You know what I mean? It's a huge leap to be in a dysfunctional relationship. And to make that decision that, you know what, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, it was a huge step for me. There's no way I was gonna go back on it, because I saw how it was affecting myself and my children, and I don't want that. I didn't want that. And basically the way that this case has gone is, basically like right when they gave him custody, they made. In the COVID thing, like, we weren't even meeting in person. All of our court hearings were on the phone. It was like Zoom and stuff like that. And I had already finished everything. I had already finished the parenting classes, the 2 classes that I hadn't. And they pulled this. They tell me that they're trying to separate the cases from my son. They wanted to close the case. And a court hearing that I was not even made aware of. And even in the paperwork that I got, it says that both mom and mom's attorney was not present at this hearing. In this hearing, they allowed him to take my baby to Texas, and they closed the case before my rights. Now, I found out in a letter. I already had unmonitored visits. I already was at unmonitored visits. So how can I not have been complying because that's what they said in the paperwork that I received when they separated the cases and they let my ex, who was still fighting these cases because of these police reports. He came to my house with a knife. He broke my windows. He beat my car. He had threatened my landlord. I mean, how is he working? How is he complying and doing the things that they're asking him to do to where he deserves to take my child when he's doing these things? And I have the court said that the police reports were not admissible in court. I guess I didn't turn them in correctly. I'm not sure what it was. That's what they said. They said that I was not complying or doing anything. Then 2 weeks after this court hearing, I actually had an actual court hearing that I was made aware of. That's when I got my overnight with my son that's 12, who's in foster care. You know, like this case is so complicated. There's so much to it, and it's like it's gone so far into the case to where they're already at the end of it, where they're talking about guardianship for they've already closed the case on my baby. I haven't seen my baby in a year because I don't have the father disappeared with them. I have no contact with them at all. I don't even know how to go about. I mean, when I talk to these social workers, they're like, well, we can't do anything about it because of the case. I called the CPS, or what's it called, DFS or something DFS. It's Department of Family Services or something. I called them in Texas. They can't do anything. I'm like, you know, I'm at that point where I've been trying to get a lawyer, but I can't afford it. I cannot afford the cost.
We like to target people that can't afford an attorney.
I mean, how many of us? I think like 90% of it, a large majority cannot afford an attorney. And the thing about it is, like, our attorneys are. I'm sorry, but these attorneys are not working for the ones that are court appointed. They don't do anything. They're not fighting.
We're all in the same bed. Everybody is in the same bed together in that courtroom.
Oh yeah.
So they don't have your best interest at all whatsoever. In fact, their best interest is to make as much money as they can from you. And ultimately, that is taking the child away, especially if the child has any kind of mental health issues or health issues. They get extra bonuses on top of what
my son does. My 12-year-old does, you know.
And so they're taking away your child. Can we actually go back for a second? So they have no excuse at all. There was a domestic violence that you told them about, you know, but what?
Oh, no.
Services for?
Then after right when I was like just about to be done with that, I know it's like the adjudication, and there's the disposition, then there's like just the progress reports, you know, as far as how it goes, you know, the sequence of events that it goes.
Yeah.
And I was like just about done with everything, and you know, in the middle of all of this, they decide that because, like I said, I do have a past, obviously, and you know, they brought up one of my other DCFS case where it was a drug case, you know, like I had tested dirty supposedly for whatever, and this time around they did the same thing to me. And the reason they said that I had to go to a program was because I had a missed test. Now the reason I had a missed test was because I went to the testing facility and I had COVID symptoms, so they made me go to the hospital. I couldn't even go into the facility or the testing site, but I have proof of all this. I showed my social worker. I said, look, I tried to go test. They wouldn't even let me go test. But to them, if it's a missed test, it's a dirty test. So they told me I have to go into a program. So I said, you know, and every ounce of me was like, if I go into a program, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to keep my, you know what I mean? Like, if I lose my house, how am I going to get my, I'm like, I can't. They're like, okay, well, you can do outpatient. I'm like, why do I have to do outpatient? I know that I was like, you know what? I can't fight them. You know what I mean? And then I went back and forth with like, okay, does this make me look bad because I'm, you know, like, okay, well, she is going to do it. Or, you know what I mean? Like, at first I was fighting it. I was like, no, this is bull. This is not true. This is not right. I'm telling you, my case was just about to close when they did this to me. It was just about to close again. And so I was like, you know what?
You never at any point gave them a dirty, right? It just was a missed court or a missed test, and they're trying to make you do a program because.
Well, I already did a program. I already did the program. I've already done the program. I did the program, and now they're now they're telling me that I have now that they're telling me that I had a dirty test. Do you know how many clean tests? I mean, it's just amazing. Like I'm like okay, I have like. I can show you the stack of like 100, not 100, it's probably like 50. Seriously, within the course of these 3 years, it was at least 50. They had me testing every week, once a week. I tested for them and I tested for my program. So it's like I have double up on these tests, okay? And I'm like, I don't know how many tests you guys want me to take, because bottom line is that's what it was boiling down to. It was like they were just waiting me out, like just waiting for me to slip, You know, and I'm like, and I finished the program. I finished every freaking thing that they asked me to do. They just kept prolonging it. And it was just like, man, and honestly, like my therapists, my counselors, I mean, everybody that's in my life every day, not just somebody that I see once a month or, once every 6 months. People that are in my life, like every day, are sitting here like, what's going on, Kiki? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. The program, the counselor, my program, she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Now they're telling me, right? I had my overnights with my son. I was just about to get him. He was just about to come home. And that's when, they said that I tested early. And I was like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, what there's nothing, it's just been like, just to have to sit back and see my baby get beat and I can't do anything about it. To have to sit back and know, like, the social worker has been caught in lies. I don't know how many times by my therapist. Just recently, my social worker actually told a monitor, and I didn't even know the monitor. One of the monitors, she said, you know what? She said, I don't even care if these kids go home with their mom. And the monitor didn't even know me, didn't even tell me anything. She goes and tells the supervisor. And then afterwards, once I met the monitor and we started talking, and she's like, you know what, I want to share something with you. She goes, you need to be careful because your social worker confided this within me. She's like, now to me, that's a huge conflict of interest for a social worker, which supposedly the role of them is to reunify the children with their parent. She's over here telling me, that she doesn't even care if their kids go home with you. And I mean, on another level, because they have totally alienated me from my children. I mean, completely. I mean, I have a visit tomorrow with my son that's 12, and and I think there's so much that has transpired, that has happened in between all this. It's been 3 long years, and I'm leaving out so much of what's really gone on, and I mean, most of it is just like, it's really it just doesn't sound believable. It sounds like I'm lying, or it sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like I'm crazy, I guess, and it's just been like, it's really hard when you're living in this world where you kind of feel like insignificant in a sense, where it really, like, doesn't even matter what you say. It doesn't even matter who you are as a person. It doesn't matter how much you love your kids. You know what I mean? It's just whatever it is that they think is right. It's somebody else's idea of what is true, what is not true, what they you know what I mean? And it's just been a battle, and all the while you have, everybody just pointing the finger at you and looking at you like you're a piece of crap, or like you're lying, or for whatever reason, whatever it is. And regardless of whatever, I know I've done what they've asked me to do. I guess, I don't know how long they wanted all this to keep going on. I mean, they prolonged it again because, once again, the social worker got caught lying. You know what I mean? Like, my case was supposed to be closed. They were going to give guardianship to the foster mom, and they were not going to take away my rights. They were going to make me take it up in family law, family court. Now, in my head, I was like, cool, I'll do that, because I think I have a better chance at winning in family court than I do here in children's court. So I was like all for it. I was like, okay, cool. And then the social worker, she sent me a text saying something about a parent and partner. I'm like, I have friends, good friends, close friends that are parent and partners, and I mean, like I said, I'm really resourceful. So when she told me that they were going to have somebody that was going to help me in this process, they were going to contact me, and they were going to discuss what is it, like a CFT or something like that. Did I just get hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you hear me? Okay. She said that, I got this text that somebody was going to come and they were going to call me regarding this meeting, the CFT meeting, and just to work with me and get to know me, blah, blah, all these things. Well, yeah. I asked her who it was and what the phone number was so that I can initiate the call. I could, make the phone call. And she said she doesn't know who the number, she doesn't know the number. I was like, okay. She gives me his name. And then, a day goes by. She said, he's going to contact you. I keep everything text messages or email because I don't like any verbal interaction with her, because there's no proof of what's being said. So I keep a text or email because I want proof of everything that's said between us. And, this individual that was supposed to like call me and make me aware and let me know about this meeting that I never even got to attend regarding CFT. I guess when we went to court, I told my attorney, I said, look, she said this man was supposed to contact me regarding this, and this. I said, he's never contacted me. I have text messages back and forth between her and I where I'm like, what's going on? I haven't, it's been a week. I haven't heard anything from him. What's his number? And my attorney basically said that, well, the department found that individual has actually resigned a month ago or something like that. Like some like, outlet, like, well, then what's going on then? Like, why did I not? Why did it take her so long to figure that out? That barely resigned. You know what I mean? It's like still things like that are just like, it really has just, now my case is being bumped back into January. Now they're extending it to January. You know. And it's like, and so I requested another CFT. I'm like, okay, well, let me get another CFT. You know, let me get one, and what do you guys want from me now? Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? Like, what is it now that I have to do? And that's basically like where I'm where I'm at with it. I really was hopeful that I was going to get out of children's court and go to family court, go to family law court, because I know that there's so much. Like I said, there's a lot to this case that obviously I haven't like gotten into detail about everything that's going on, because it's just like, there's so much that has happened, you know what I mean? But you know, I think the one thing is like, big things like this live stream, it's really important for us parents, you know. And I do think everybody that has something to do, like, that plays a role in this, because you know, it's hard to live your life like this when you don't have any outlet where, you know, where you're not, I'm not even going to use the word judge, but when you're doubted, I guess, you know, all the time, or you're, you know, it's like, I know that I'm not a perfect person, and I may not do things exactly how everybody wants me to do them, but I know I do it. You know what I mean? I know I get things done. I know that I've been trying my very best to hold down my life and keep grounded when my whole world and my heart is taken from me. You know, I mean, I've been pretty much lost for 2 years, you know, walking around like not even knowing what to do with myself. You know, I pretty much, my children were my life, my sons were my life, and
it's kind of fun to play a game that's rigged, you know, a game that you will never win because they already have it all planned out, and they have you jump through all these hoops so they can make extra money off of you, and nobody cares, and there's no resources, there's nobody to talk to about this when things go wrong and workers lie. And when you said that your worker got caught lying, can you go into a little bit more detail on that? Did she get caught like by the courts, by the state? Like,
with my therapist, because you know, like was telling you before, they were every time I was going to court, they were saying that I wasn't complying, you know. And one of them, the things they wanted me to do was DV support group, parenting, and individual therapy. You know, that's those stipulations initially. So after I had finished everything, you know, my individual therapist, let me tell you, that woman has became like I have love in my heart for this woman. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like just rapport. Like, I really genuinely care for this woman because she has totally been there for me. This like you know what I mean? Like, maybe not in the physical form, or not like supportive as a loved one would be supportive, but she's been able to be somebody who can back me up, and she has backed me up. You know what I mean? Like, she stood there like, wait a minute, you know, she's wrote whatever letter that she needed, you know. And, you know, she had a close, my social worker would call her, I think monthly, check on me or what's going on. And every time that, you know, my social worker would call my therapist, the first thing my therapist would do was call me, you know. Yes, so just call me. That's who I was just talking to, you know. I mean, that's the kind of like relationship where I built with her, you know, where it was like, you know, there was a lot of trust within it, you know. And she kept telling, she goes, look, Kiki, in the very beginning, she goes, I was telling my therapist, I go, look, this lady doesn't like me. You know, I don't trust her. I think she knows my ex's family. You know, and I was just really just negative. And everybody that in my life was like, Kiki, all you got to do is what they ask you to do. Stop being so negative. And I'm just like, no, you guys don't understand. This is different. This is very different this time. I know how it's supposed to go. And this case is not going the way it's supposed to go. Nobody, you know, and well, that was just my opinion at the time. But I mean, bottom line is that's exactly what turned out, you know. And my therapist was like, you know, the social worker kept saying that she couldn't, every time my progress reports would come up, she would say that she couldn't confirm that my therapist was a licensed therapist or not. But she had not been able to confirm whether or not she was what's the word, she's accredited, you know what I mean, to be a therapist.
You know what? I hear this a lot. And the thing is if you don't go to like the counselors or whatever that they assign you to, they won't accept it because the reason being is they want to control what your counselor is saying about you. And so if they contact your counselor and they don't get the answers that they want, they're not going to have it. And they're going to say, oh, they're not credited, they're not, credible source, whatever the case may be. And so many people are telling me this, that they're like legit licensed doctors and they won't accept, them as a counselor because they know that they can't work their, the situation to get the responses that they want.
Yeah.
It's really, really unfortunate.
Well, I mean, but I mean, in the end though, like there's when it comes to like court, like the legal system, I don't know how a judge can I don't know how the judge could literally allow my baby to go to Texas with him before the case was even. I mean, he was a ward of the state. Why would they remove? Why? How is that even possible? That would be in the best interest of a toddler.
They don't care about it. They don't care about the best interest of you or the child.
I mean, I know this, but it's just like it's scary.
But not everybody does.
You know what I mean? This is legally being done, and it's like,
yes,
it's like this is our future. These are our children, and these people that have their lives, our future in their hands are just really, their goal is obviously not the best interest of our future. It's like, I just feel like, something really needs, in my opinion, I know this much. I know that I started a petition. Okay, I kind of left that out. I started a petition to take away the immunities for social workers, so they will be held accountable for, their lies, their mistakes, for them, the wrongdoings, because it's happening. There's good and bad in everything in life. There's evil people, you know what I mean? There's people that are good, there's people that are bad, there's everything in life. And I'm not going to sit here and say that every social worker is evil, every DCF, because they're not. There's some good ones out there, because I know there are. But unfortunately, in this situation,
too long, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because they become jaded or for whatever reason or whatever it is that does this to these people. I don't know if it's the power that they have, because they have a whole heck of a lot of power over people.
A whole lot. I mean, nobody should have that much control, at 20 years old, just out of school, no kids, no family. Like, they should not have enough power to take your child from you based off of their opinion. What opinion? They take a class for 2 months. They could have a degree in music and take a 2-month course class to work for CPS, and that's it. And they're going to be able to put all the trust in these workers that aren't really properly trained. And
well, I think they have to get their bachelor's at least, right? I think they get their bachelor's, and yes, they have to at least have their bachelor's. That's insane.
Some of them don't even go through college.
Really? They're like grandfathered in? What state do you live in?
I'm in California.
Are you? Okay. Yeah, me too. That's crazy. I mean, there's so many, there's just a lot of things that are not right. I mean, there's no way around it. And I know that there has to be like something done. And I think that little talks like this, little live streams like this, where, parents have the opportunity to speak, because just to be very honest, there are some kids that need to get removed from their parents. Okay, there are some people that just should not be removed.
Those are the kids that they're not taking away.
Exactly, and that's the ridiculous. It's almost like job security for them, like to take your child, because there's like in like domestic violence, that like wheel of violence, how it goes and stuff. It's almost like, okay, if you remove a child from the home and then stick them with the person that's the abuser, how is that beneficial? Like, how is that, you know what I mean? It's hard to even fathom. And anybody that you talk to in the right state of mind, they're like, what are you talking about? No way. Well, what are you leaving out? Well, what did you do? And it's just like, well, regardless of whatever it is, I know that children find normalcy in dysfunction. They don't know any other way.
And something needs to be done to, teach the public more about what's actually happening. I saw a movie the other day, and I didn't even realize that it was going to be about any of this. I think it's called Instant Family.
What is it called?
Instant Family.
Instant Family.
And like they show the whole like process of them wanting to be foster parents and adopt kids, and they go to these classes that are like helping these parents, and they get the kids, and of course, family court gives the mom custody back, and whatever. But the point is this is what people are seeing and thinking that that's how the system works. So when you tell them, like, yeah, I'm in the system, they think like you're such a horrible person, and that CPS is, in the best interest of the family and the kids, and it is not the case at all whatsoever. And
no, I don't believe that it is in most situations.
Even like police officers, they don't even really know, that they're taking kids away. Some of the paperwork that they receive from social workers, it's not even a warrant. It's just a basic check off of, an allegation. And the police are thinking, because they're a social worker and they have paperwork, I can arrest you if you don't hand the kid over.
Yeah.
When, they don't even have it right.
They don't. Well, a lot of this is empowerment. It is knowledge. You know what I mean? It is teaching. If we knew if everybody knew our rights, and we realized all the things that shouldn't have been done, or the way that they were handled, we basically have been bullied. You know what I mean? A lot of us have signed things we should have never have signed. Yes. And by doing that, that's kind of it's a lot of it is because we know we're doing the right. We think we're doing the right thing, because in our hearts we're like, we know we're doing it right. Even right. You know what I mean? And most of us, and most parents, so we're usually pretty willing to do what it is that they say, because we know inside we feel we're right. But I know today that that's the worst thing that you can ever do, is trust these people or to sign it. And it just seems like, it's funny. My therapist, I called her once and I was like telling her, like, all these things that were going on that were like unbelievable, where it's like, this is happening in a courtroom, this is happening in our judicial system, like the judge is approving it, like what's going, and I'm crying and I'm screaming and I'm all upset. And she tells me, she goes, you know what, Kiki? She goes, when they make a movie about your story, she's like, can I pick the actress that's gonna play my part? and I was like, and I started laughing, I'm like, she broke the whole, like, hysteria where I was being sad. But the crazy thing about it is, like, it is like a movie. You know what I mean? I feel like I've been living in some sort of movie. It just hasn't even been real. Like, it's just been like, I'm looking around and I'm like, is this really happening? Like, can this really be? And it can, it can, and it does. It happens more so than it does. I mean, especially with, recently. I mean, I think that a lot of people are aware more of the fact of what's going on, and it's because it's affecting. It used to affect a lot, poverty stricken, people more so than before, but now it's affecting everybody. DCFS is in everybody's life. Yeah. I mean, and this is the future. This is our future. You know what I mean? And they are literally, trying to control it. I mean, basically building a nation. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is that, like I said, I did start this petition, and after I started the petition, things really went sour. They like punished me. You know what I'm saying? They became aware of it. I was gonna say they punished me. I'm sorry?
I was just gonna say that retaliation will come from that.
And it has, you know what I mean? And that's where I am right now with it. So I backed off on it, and I know, like, in my heart, I said, you know what? I'm gonna back off right now. I'm gonna lay low with this, and I'm gonna wait until my case closes, and then I'm gonna push this. I'm gonna push this all the way. And they may think that they have me defeated, but they really don't. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't even started yet. And I mean, I know I already have like 400 and something signatures, and all I really need is 1,000. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I know.
Really great.
I mean, right now, like, I'm having some, you wouldn't believe, maybe you would believe, maybe you wouldn't, but like, I've had a lot of things happening in my life that are just seriously like, no way, like, that's crazy. Where my normal is like, if it's normal, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, if this whole thing plays out normal, it's like, oh, no way. Like, there's always something that just seems like outplayed, like just outlandish, like something crazy. And I haven't embraced it, but I've learned to just ignore it, if that makes any sense to you. You know what I mean? Like, I just keep going, because I can't get distracted by all these things that are happening. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of things that have happened in my life in these past years, and it's just been, I mean, I can't even, and my sons, like my two little boys, like I'm an adult, I'm 43, and I'm struggling with all of this so much, and I can't even imagine. Like, my baby, I know that he's not, I know that he's been abused. I know this, I've seen it, I have proof of it. I know that I know his father. I've literally heard his father tell him, after I've told him that I love him, I've heard him say like on Zoom, no, she doesn't love you, she doesn't want you. He's a baby. He's a baby, And I was like, I'm like, why would you say that to him? Why would you want to hurt him like that? I mean, these are things that, just the fact that they don't seem to think that I need to be in his life. They don't find the importance of co-parenting. That it's like,
it's crazy.
It's sad. I haven't, what the visitation that the judge gave when we went for mediation. Mind you, I hadn't had any dirty tests. I had already finished everything. I was already on my unmonitored visits. Okay, the judge agreed when she separated the cases and closed the case on the baby and said that I wasn't complying with anything, but I already had unmonitored visits. I don't know how I wasn't complying. Okay, that the visitation order would be as follows: Mom gets to see the baby. I think she said twice a week for 3 hours, but I have to go to Texas. I'm in California.
Oh my God. Jeez.
And I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, because mediation, obviously it went sour, where I went back and forth with between me, the mediator, and the mediator and my son's father, where my son's father was trying to say he would let me have him twice a week, non-concurrent a year. And I was like, what? And in my heart, I wanted to have faith in something that, like, no, that's impossible. Like, what are you talking? At least 50-50. Like, what do you mean? You're in Texas, and mind you, I don't even know how he's in Texas when he's still fighting these cases. I don't know how he can leave the state. And then,
yeah. And so when you talk to your attorney, even though I know it's worthless, but when you have talked to your attorney about how he is the abuser and they're placing your child with him, what do they tell you as an excuse?
There is none. To be honest with you, in the very beginning, I've had 3 different attorneys. Okay, they've changed my attorneys 3 times now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And
every time it was a new one.
I tried to represent myself, and then I kind of got cold feet because I realized, like, I got scared. You know what I mean? I did. When it boiled down to it, I was gonna go do the whole thing, and then I got scared because I'm just not confident, and I'm really broken down. To be honest, I'm broken down. I'm insecure. I'm not defeated in any way, shape, or form, but emotionally I'm just really drained. Emotionally, physically, everything. I'm drained. I can't even. It takes a lot out of me just to get through my day to continue to push forward and to do what I got to do, because it's like. Everything that I've done, I haven't gotten anywhere closer to having them home. And it's been 3 years. And the baby, I haven't seen my baby in a year, And, the last time that I seen him, I had my unmonitored visits. And once again, I picked him up. I had him, I was having him for 8 hours, and I got to pick him up and bring him home. You know what I mean? And and it was just like, on the last visit, in July, I believe, in July a year ago, my baby came to my house, and he had some bumps on his head that I was not okay with. And I said, you know what, screw this. I'm taking him to the hospital. I want documentation of this. I want something documented somewhere, something crying out for my baby, because nobody's helping him, and he's just a little baby, and he can't talk, So I take him to the emergency room, and, visibly when like the nurse goes to he had like these large knots on his head where it was strange, one here and one here, and they were visible, but it was just weird. Like, it was like I can't explain it, but I took him to the hospital, and when we were in the triage, the nurse goes to touch his head with this little instrument, and my baby went like that, and I told the nurse, I was like, did you see that? Did you see what he just did? You know what I mean? Like, he's scared. It looked like he's been hit in the head before. You know what I mean? And the nurse was like, yeah, honey, I did. And, and I'm a mess. And I got both of my boys with me, which I only had them once a week. You know what I mean? Once a week for 8 hours. And it was our time to just be happy and kind of try to forget about everything. And we're sitting in the hospital, and it's only obvious that there's something really wrong going on. And that later on, when I dropped them off, I told his grandma and his aunt were there to pick him up. And he just was holding on to me like, Mommy, please don't drop me, please don't, And I was just like, man, it was just like, it sucks, you know what I mean? It sucks when you got your little 2-year-old like holding on to you, Mommy, no, And I'm like, I have to, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that was the last time I got to see him. They don't let me see him anymore. And even though the hospital called DCFS and reported child abuse, they said it was unfounded, and they tried to turn it around on me.
Of course, I was just gonna say that. Yep. We're gonna try to turn it around.
And you don't know how many pictures I have. You don't know how much documentation I have of my baby having a bruise somewhere, a mark somewhere, a cut where it shouldn't have been there. And just the way he behaved, you can just tell when a baby cowers, when they, you know what I mean, like that. It's just like, that's not cool. I never hit my baby. You know what I mean? I will be very honest with you. With my first three, I was younger, and slapping them, smacking them on their hand or on their butt. One thing I did learn is never to smack your child when they're angry. You know what I mean? You have to both cool off, let them cool off, and then, you know what I mean? More so talk to them and explain, okay, you're gonna get spanked right now, but this is why. I mean, that was my understanding, but I know that after a certain age, it's useless to spank them. You know what I mean? It's more so just, and I don't mean beat on them. I mean, just to let them know, wait a minute, make them think twice. I know I got smacked as a kid. I got smacked a lot. And I'm not saying that that's right, because it never was. But I know that with my baby, I realized hitting him doesn't do any much good at all. You know what I mean? And so it was like, just, can't even explain to you how it felt. You know what I mean? To know that my baby is getting hit. He's getting beat on. He's getting hit. He's a baby. He's a baby. He was 1.5, 2. It's like, how can anybody hit a baby like that? How can anybody, hit them in there? And I can't do that to myself, because if I could sit around all day and question that. I can sit around all day and wig out and wonder if he's okay. But I won't get anything done. You know what I mean? And I would be lying to you if I said that there hasn't been a day here and a day there where I haven't just wigged out all day. You know what I mean? Because I have. But some days are better than others, and I know that today I know I feel more empowered today because I know that I'm right, and I know that I know in my heart, I know that they're gonna come home. Yeah, they will. I'm not gonna stop, and I know that even if it's not tomorrow, even if it's not in a year, even if it's not in 2 years or 3 years, I know they're gonna. And I know that I'm not gonna stop fighting this. I know that after this case is done, I'm really gonna fight. You guys will see me somewhere else. Trust and believe that. You know what I mean? You'll see me somewhere, and I'm gonna be fighting to make some kind of change in this, because this is just ridiculous. And I mean, somebody has to do something. And I know there's a whole bunch of me's out there that's ready to do it. We just don't know how to do it. But I think that by taking away the immunities, as a matter of fact, Vincent Davis is the one that gave me that idea, to be quite honest with you, because I seen some YouTube thing where he was talking about that. He was saying that there needs to be something where social workers get their immunities taken away, because they're basically covered. Like, there's a blanket over them to where they can get away with like murder. Yeah. Basically, I mean, how many children have died? Literally. How many children have died in the care of DCFS? I mean, that's a whole other a whole other issue. And just the fact that these parents are settling out of court is just like unnerving. Like, no. This isn't all about money, parents. You know what I mean? This is about making these people be accountable for this. You need to take this all the way. Let everybody know this. Let everybody see this happening. You don't settle out of court. You're gonna sue them, and you got money to do it. Why are you settling out of court? Why are you hushing up? Yeah. Why are you being quiet? So I'm not a person. Even if me suing them, for whatever reason, my whole point is not because I want to become a millionaire or because I want to have a new car. You know what I mean? My whole point is that we have to make them accountable. We have to make them think twice before they do this, because they're ruining families. They're ruining our future. They really are. They really are. What chances our future have with people like this in our lives? I mean, I'm not a perfect person, but I know I am nowhere near what I used to be when I was younger. I know I've came a whole long way, a huge way, and I know that I'm going to continue to grow as a person, and I know that myself and God knows. And I mean, I'm not trying to push religion on anybody, but I am very spiritual, and I know that God knows, and I myself know that we know the truth, and I know that eventually everything that's done in the dark is going to come to light. And I know that I just have to be patient, and I just have to sit back and let it happen. And I have to do my part, but there's so many things I cannot try to control, and I cannot stress over, because I can't. You know what I mean? I can't control it. So I've just decided to sit back, do as I'm told, do what I feel is right, regardless of what's said, regardless of whatever the heck is going on around me. I'm going to continue to push forward until all the way to the end, and then at the end is going to be the beginning of something else. And I mean, I'm on this show on purpose because I want people to see me. I want them to know my story, because when I would like for whoever is ready to stand up with me, because it has to happen. You know what I mean? And I don't know any other way. I don't know what else can be done, but it has to start somewhere. And even if what I do only starts a little bit of awareness somewhere, at least there's a little bit more awareness somewhere than there wasn't before. And people need to know their rights. You know, they need to know, they need to be able to feel confident, and they need to understand, exercise that Fifth Amendment right. Realize you do not have to talk to these supervisors, and don't sign a dang thing unless you have an attorney in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what they need to know, because these people, these social workers, it does, right or wrong, and the truth does not matter with these people. That's just the truth of it. You know?
I personally really feel like we need to show the public the kids' version of what they're going through, not showing, CPS is, horrible and look what they're doing to us. No, we need to show what they're doing to the kids, and like how horrible like these situations are for them, and show like, we're not just bad parents, right? These are our kids, and look what they're going through. I don't even know what else to do, but I've thought about it over and over and over again, and that's like the only thing I can really think of that could work, is to, blast it all over social media. And, how are they going to fight that, or, shut that down if it's blasted everywhere for everyone to see how, these kids are being treated?
Well, yeah, I mean, they know it. Look at Gabriel Fernandez. Look at Joe. Look what Joseph Avalos. I mean, these are just two of many cases that people aren't even aware of. These children died within DCFS because I'm not gonna say because of DCFS, but under they were awarded to the state. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm telling you, my baby is being abused, and I know this.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I pray, like I just, in my heart, I'm like, God, what has to happen for everybody to finally like get it, or to help, or for anybody that can help, or for anything to like I had an ER doctor and nurse call DCFS and report this, and DCFS did nothing about this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, and I'm telling you, I have called anybody that would listen to me. I mean, even civil rights activists. I mean, I haven't really, as soon as I started that petition and all the like retaliation started happening, and I started noticing it and feeling it, I really have just chilled a lot, and I stopped. I don't even really go on any social media. This is the first time me appearing anywhere, or documenting any kind of anything about my case or what's going on, because before I was very active about it. I was pissed off. I was pissed off. I was posting all kinds of stuff, and I just was trying to put it out there, but I realized that that's probably not the best or the most positive way to do it, And so now, I mean, I'm just trying to, like I said, just sit back, sit still, and do what's told, what I know I need to do, and then just let everything else play out. And just wait. I cannot react to any of this stuff, because I feel like that's what they want me to do. Like, they're purposely baiting me to get me to react, because they're assuming that I'm going to act in a certain way and screw it all up. And I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not to tell you, that's great and all, and yeah, you're right. But be careful, because it sounds like you have a pretty good case. You have all the documentation and everything, and I mean, come on, and you took them to the doctors and everything. But there's a statute of limitation, and you don't want that to run out either, because they might be trying to, to push it as much time as possible, so that way there is nothing that you can do about it. There is a statute of limitation.
What I was wondering is, what do you know anything about? Because my baby, I don't know how to get. I don't know how to find him. I don't even know where to go. I don't know what to do. I'm not. I honestly, I did once they gave him to the father, and like I know I couldn't see him. I went backwards. I kind of withdrew, and I got really depressed. I mean, I can't even explain to you how depressed I was, and I was miserable being around myself. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I was just really depressed. I mean, it's like my world and my heart was taken from me, and I just felt like I was empty completely. And I mean, and it was like people that care for me, people that are close to me. I know it must have sucked. I mean, I know that it was just like, because I I lost, you know, I mean, I just felt so defeated and broken down in every kind of way. Like I can't explain. I can't. There's not even a word that can express the depth of how I felt when I'm like, how is it that I'm not complying when I have unmonitored visits? You know, I'm right about to get my overnights. How can they just take them from me? How is this possible? My lawyer had nothing to say about it. All that I hear is, well, because you weren't complying. What do you mean I wasn't? I finished everything. What do you know what I mean? I'm like, everything's here. Like, what do you like? And like I said, 2 weeks later, I get my overnights with my other son. You know, how can they explain that? And it's my word, but I also have all these papers that back this up. And I think honestly, and they know that I have this petition. They know because I was very feisty in the beginning because I was like, no, because I'm not dumb. You know what I mean? I'm not a dumb person. And you know, I'm not a lawyer, but I can read books just like anybody else can. I can read their WIC codes and I can see all their things that they do. So I've seen all this injustice, all these, but when I tried to bring it up, it was like ignored, like because I couldn't stand firm on that, like that I wasn't like strong enough to stand firm to make them adhere to their own rules and their own codes. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, and so my language is not their language, and it was just like how dare you? How did the judge was like that? And it was like disrespectful. Like I disrespected the judge in every kind of way. That's how they came off to me, and I realized I was just pissing them off and making everything worse for myself and my kids because they were like, how dare you? Who do you think you are to come into my courtroom and try to, you know what I mean? Try to do this. And and in my head, of course, I'm appalled because I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, this is our judicial system here. Like, isn't there supposed to be justice? Isn't there law here? You know, of course I didn't say that, but I mean, in my heart, I'm thinking it. Like, why, you know? But it didn't really matter. I mean, and that sucks. It sucks to have to say that, but nothing that it was just not.
On Miss Georgette's show this week, she was saying how there was a CPS worker who got arrested and got 5 years.
I heard about that.
Lying, and so that's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
That's huge.
They're finally doing something. They wouldn't even give her probation; just straight take her to jail. So that's at least something like that is happening.
Well, but see, you know, there's like people. They've fired plenty of people though. You know what I mean? Like, because I've seen it. Like, I have friends that are pips and stuff. You know, very quickly though, before we end, I did want to put my petition out there. You know, there's if you go to the petitionsite.com and it's called Save Our Future, Save Our Children, and you'll find it there. If anybody's listening, please sign it. Go to it, or you can go to my Facebook page and request to be my friend, and then I can send you a link like that if you want.
And what is your Facebook page? How would we find you?
It's Keyz, Keyz.
Okay.
And then Leilaniz.
Okay.
And then it's Call, CAL, like Keyz Leilani's Call. So
okay.
Go ahead and if anybody wants to, inquire about that, I would really appreciate as many signatures as I can possibly get, and whatever support I can get with that. And maybe we can get together, all of us, and some sort of rally or something where we can create some sort of awareness, not just online but in our communities. Get up. I think that right there would be huge. You know what I mean? And I'm more than willing to step up to something like that. So okay. I mean. And I do appreciate your time, and I know that it's probably running out of time here.
Yeah, we're actually out of time. But thank you so much. I will definitely find you on Facebook and do the petition thing. Is there any message you want to say to your kids if they see this later on, or is there anything?
Later on in life, later on in life, I'm gonna manifest this, and I'm gonna thank them for not giving up on me and apologize. It was never their fault. And I love them, and I'm proud of them, and I hope that they'll be proud of me one day, which I'm sure they will be.
I'm sure they will. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's so important to get all our stories out. I really appreciate it, and I would love for you to come back on and update us. Hopefully, with some good news.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm telling you, you're gonna come. You'll see me again. Trust and believe. If it isn't here, you'll see me somewhere else. There's something that's gonna happen, and it's gonna have to happen. It has to. It has to start somewhere, and I guess. We're just casualties to this.
Yep. Alrighty, well, have a great night. Thank you so much for being on the show. And if anybody else out there is listening, if you want to get your story out, please let us know. That's it for tonight, and I will see you guys later.
Bye.